Welcome back to another episode of Silent Pals Go to the Movies. This is another Throwback Thursday review, and today I'll be reviewing John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982. And just a fair warning, there's going to be spoilers up ahead, so you've been warned. A research team in the Antarctic is hunted by a shape-shifting alien that assumes the appearance of its victims. So let's begin with my first pro. This film bombed during its theoretical release, but then became a cult classic once on VHS and still holds up. This film was crafted so well that you can go online nowadays and still find people debating things from the order of how characters became assimilated to people debating how MacReady discovered that Charles has been assimilated at the end. Since I can clearly say that we all know that Charles was assimilated by the end of the movie, but the question remains, how does MacReady know and how does he find out is the question. And for John Carpenter to think ahead and plan to leave breadcrumbs for movie fans for later to search for clues such as a visible breath or Charles taking a swig from the bottle that was handed to him and what was inside the bottle. To MacReady's smirk at the end, sort of like his final checkmate that references his chess game with the computer at the opening of the film. But even these clues are still being debated online now. And there is so much more in the film that people keep finding that add more fuel to the online debates. Next pro, the script. It keeps you playing detective and pointing out things you missed in your last viewing. The script has been said to be a great example of how to keep a secret hidden, but the answers being laid out in the open. So if you watch it the first time, you watch it for the horror element, but then you rewatch it again to find the answers to some questions you have. Then you go back again to dissect the scenes even more. And even then, you still rewatch it because it's a great film that keeps you glued due to the plot, the story, the special effects, and just the main idea that what would you do in that situation if it was you. Next pro, the special effects. For this film, they are still very impressive even to this day. But I especially like the scene when Norris' chest opens up and bites the arm of Cooper and how the head separates from the body and tries to escape. This film has some great practical effects that have become classic, from the dog scene to even Palmer's transformation during the blood test scene. I guess all of these scenes that some called goofy and cheap during its initial release did not understand that not giving the thing a definite shape is what makes this movie even scarier, since we do not know what shape it will attack us with next. Next pro, the different fears that this film brings up. The fear of an alien species that wants to assimilate us, of course, but then the fear that when presented with the question, can you trust this person? It may sound simple, but you never know what that person is hiding inside. Then the touching subject that was in 1980s, the AIDS scare, that brings it to a whole new level, since during that time people were afraid of getting infected with AIDS, and not knowing how it was spread made them even fear it more, to the point that people did not even want to get close to the AIDS patients due to the fear of getting infected. Even during the blood test, we see the VD awareness poster behind MacReady that said they are not labeled. This line brings the point across even clearer. And now onto my cons. I guess one con can be that even till now we still have questions about the film. When we seek answers, the cast and the staff, they seem to differ on their answers, which makes fans pick sides. For example, the final scene where people use the fact that MacReady has a visible breath while Charles doesn't to say he is a thing, or just the gesture that MacReady gives Charles when he gives him the bottle to drink. And then the question if it's whiskey or gasoline, due to the previous scene when we see MacReady, he is seen throwing Molotov cocktails to burn down the camp. Some say it was MacReady's final test for Charles to see if he was infected. All these things that are being debated online are being countered with quotes from cast members, staff members saying one thing or others saying another. I want to believe that John Carpenter goes to bed every night with a smile on his face that this film from 1982 is still having people around the world still having debates online, even till this day. But the reason this is a con is that we will never get a true answer and forever be left on a cliffhanger. And I can't really think of any other major cons I have for this film. So my grade for this movie is going to be an 8.5 to 9 out of 10. To say that this film I can rewatch and still find it enjoyable is an understatement. Would I like to recommend this film? Yes. Will it still be talked about in 20 years from now? I hope so. A film that takes a simple idea of who can you trust and changes it into a horror film that keeps you guessing who is next. The practical special effects still hold up, and if when you watch this movie you don't have an argument with your friends about the ending, then you haven't watched it enough times. So that does it for this review of John Carpenter's The Thing from 1982. Please join us next time where we're going to review The Parent Trap from 1961.
You do?
Well, I most certainly do. I've always wanted to have a sister.
No, honey, see, you're missing the whole point.
And how sweet of you to want to adopt Vicky.
No, baby, I don't want to adopt her. I want to marry her.
Please like, comment, and subscribe. You can find our social media links below. And like always, keep watching movies.